My son lives! What is it?
The protagonists of the Red Dead series have encountered vampires, robots, Bigfoot, aliens, zombies, and maybe God. Name a character who has been through more than these men right here. Indeed, the stranger missions of the Red Dead series give us some of the weirdest events and storylines in the game's plot, some of which are so strange they have to be left to interpretation. It can't all be fishing and riding horses. Sometimes you have to sprinkle in a little bit of unexplainable dark magic or ghosts when you're playing a Rockstar Games title. For this list, we'll only be looking at the most bizarre happenings within the stranger missions, so no unmarked events like the creepy hillbilly siblings. But trust me, there's more than enough weirdness to cover when looking at the first RDR game and its sequel. Subscribe if you're a John Marston head, like the video if you're Arthur-brained, and don't forget to comment below your weirdest happenings within Red Dead's Wild West.
Damn you!
Yes, many have.
Geology for beginners.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I sort of really badly have to find all of them. Now, it's sort of a puzzle thingamy. I know, it sounds ridiculous, but I'm on the up and up.
Francis Sinclair is a curious character and apparent time-traveling man. He speaks in an accent not from the proper time period and uses phrases the player's cowboy has never heard of, like jazzed.
You're what?
Drunk?
Are you?
No.
One fantastic and subtle detail you may have missed is the belt loops on his pants, which did not come about until a few years into the 19th century. Once finding his cabin, he'll ask you to catalog rock paintings spread across the map for a purpose he simply will not explain. When returning to him with the sketches, the player will find Francis missing, having left behind notes plastered on the wall depicting things like skyscrapers, portals, and structures from ancient Egypt. For some reason. Strangest of all, a woman confronts you once in the cabin, introducing you to her child, Francis, who has an identical face scar as the man we had met earlier.
I'm gonna have a lie down. I don't feel very well. And neither would you if... but hey, what harm could it do?
What a lunatic.
Flowers for a lady.
What you searching for, partner?
I've been gathering some flowers from my wife. She's waiting for me back in the cabin.
Flower picking missions are kind of a staple in open world games for some reason. On the way between fighting dragons or saving the world, you can expect the devs will give you areas to chill out in and collect petals without any consequence or cause for alarm. That's why when asked by this lovely gentleman in Red Dead to help him pick flowers for his wife, we thought nothing of it. However, once returning to finally meet the lady of the house, John, and she's a corpse. The best part of the interaction is how Marston tries to politely exit the situation as Billy makes mention of the couple's date night antics like playing bridge on Thursdays.
I've got an appointment with Planet Earth. Nice to meet you, ma'am.
Farewell, John. Stop by any time. Oh, we play bridge on Thursdays.
The wisdom of the elders.
The darkness, it's everywhere. He was right.
What are you talking about?
They come in darkness.
Butcher's Creek has been told by a local shaman to be under a curse of vague darkness, which brings all sorts of misfortune, like a pack of evil dogs. Once the player gets one whiff of the behavior from the townsfolk and the self-proclaimed shaman, they are immediately suspicious. The player can continue to investigate and come to find that the local mine has been poisoned in an effort to drive the villagers out and allow a fuel company to continue their work. Despite outing the false shaman as a mining company agent, the townsfolk double down that the spirits have been sent via the corporation and are still out to get them, to John or Arthur's disappointment. Here's the thing though, awesome 3-act mission on its own, but would you believe me if I said there was a double twist that the town probably is cursed by dark forces? An easy to miss Easter egg shows one of the houses nearby spawns a blood red pentagram under it during certain hours of the night. Curse? Fraud? Both? You decide.
Powerful forces have taken on this town.
It ain't spirits. It's a mining company.
No, it is spirits. Spirits taken through a mining company.
Let no man put asunder.
Oh, let me look at you. My gentleman caller. You remind me of my Peter.
This stranger mission involving a simple favor for an old lady seems innocent at first, but has a few layers of weirdness under it all. Alma here is sitting in a wedding dress, saying that her husband-to-be has taken off and can be found at the Armadillo Saloon. After stopping by and committing a brief kidnapping to get information, Marston is directed to the Oddfellows Rest Cemetery. Here we finally get the reveal that Peter, her supposed husband, died 20 years ago. However, after finding the grave, the mission simply ends. We are not prompted to return to inform Alma. In fact, she goes completely missing afterwards. This leads fans to speculate that she may have been some sort of ghost longing to be returned to her husband, perhaps because she didn't know his whereabouts after death. What is worth considering is that her name, Alma, means soul in Spanish, which a large part of the Red Dead world speaks.
What happened to him?
What happens to all of us? I reckon you'll find him at Oddfellows Rest. Yeah, that's where he'd be, I'd guess.
The smell of the grease paint. This wacky sideshow of a mission has the player meet Marjorie and her traveling act of funny fellows. First, we are tasked with calming down Bertram the strongman by surviving a fistfight with him. Then we must reassemble their team by finding Magnifico, the magician, and getting the act back on stage again. Easier said than done, of course, as Magnifico begins a hilarious chase segment where he will disappear into colorful puffs of smoke to our cowboys' unamusement. Afterwards, the player is awarded a ticket to their show, and one of the best cutscenes in the game as the stage play goes somewhat expectedly horribly wrong.
Doing, you nasty little pervert?
What? Damn it! We were gonna give them a show!
The Prohibitionist.
You don't have troubles, friend. You have all the joys of heaven here on earth if you just put down the bottle.
The Prohibitionist is a short and simple quest that puts the player into an unusual lose-lose situation. A preacher is set up in front of an alcohol establishment, warning folks about the dangers of drinking. Meanwhile, the local bar owner has had enough of the man and wants him dead. The player can either shoot the preacher or warn him about the hit and suggest he leave town. If the player takes out the man, he will receive a few dollars, but incur a bounty and loss of honor points. The choice isn't so cut and dry, however, as if you spare the man permanently across the game world, the cost of all drinks and property will double. Definitely not a good spot you want to be in if you like to save your game within the inns. Likewise, if you want to complete all the missions, there's no easy way around this one. Pretty dark, but also quite narratively cool.
Round here, it's gonna be double a going rate for you.
So be it.
He's British, of course.
A priceless Ranjaniki tiger from the slopes of the Hindu Heights. A fantastic, elusive zebra from the plains of Ongo Bongo by the shores of the Limpopo.
If you haven't done this one, spoiler reminders, it might be best experienced for yourself. The player can stumble upon a crashed caravan and some sort of clown who is inconsolable over his lost circus animals: a zebra, a lion, and a tiger. First, you are set up to track down the zebra, and the game gives you ample time to imagine on the ride over what it'll look like as a unique mount in the game, only to come to find that, well, it doesn't exactly sound like a zebra.
There you go. Hey now.
Yep, both we as the player and the circus's audience has been duped by fake animals, and the ones to follow aren't much different. The lion appears to be a now deceased dog, and the tiger is a cougar painted orange. The final animal is said to have gotten into a barn nearby when, in a double twist, an actual full-on lion does show up to murder the player. If you manage to have a strong enough gun to drop it, you may just survive, but the spectacle of finally seeing the lion is worth trying the mission to begin with.
I've never seen one of those before, and I hope I don't again.
Amen to that.
A bright, bouncing boy.
What is it?
It is life itself.
If you felt like Red Dead didn't have enough evil scientists with ridiculous accents, I'll tell you where to find one. The man's name is Marco, and he can be found testing his inventions, such as a remote control boat, which he is hoping to sell to investors. Later on, once invited to his lab, you'll find his ultimate contraption is to bring life to a mechanical body, Frankenstein style. Probably the most surprising part is that it actually works. The robot stumbles rather unimpressively to life before falling over as our cowboy is dismissed. If the lab is revisited, wouldn't you know it, but the creator has been offed by his creation as his body lay on the laboratory floor. The full effect only comes into place once exploring the mountains, where you can find the robot sadly asking for his papa. Who are you to judge?
What are you talking about, friend? They took my love. They took Jeb's love by them gangsters. They hide out of tumbleweed.
Truly, the writers of the Red Dead series are brave, for they have to face the fact that in this mission, a man's wife is a horse. Unknown to our cowboy, the player is asked to retrieve a man named Jeb's lost love, who was taken away by gangsters. While you do expect to find a damsel in distress, the only lady in waiting is a Dutch warm blood named Lucy. At John's bewilderment, we can return the horse and are rewarded with 100 honor points. Apparently in the game's newspaper, you can also find a page that says Jeb later marries his horse, but no family or friends were in attendance.
I remember a cold night that we spent together. Every night's been cold without you, my sweet thing.
I know you.
Then why would you remember me, friend? You've forgotten far more important people than me.
This character right here is Red Dead's famous unsolved mystery NPC, the Strange Man. He appears to John Marston and remarks about fates that have not yet come to pass, such as remarking how the spot he stands is a fine one indeed. This comes to be the grave site of John and his family later on. Encounterable 3 times, the Strange Man will give tasks to John and question his moral decisions afterwards.
You know, I admire you, John. I hope my boy turns out just like you.
For your sake, I hope he don't.
The Strange Man can also be found in a cameo within Red Dead 2, as a painting of him seemingly appears to complete itself. There's good reason to believe he is supposed to be God, the Devil, the Grim Reaper, or some traumatized part of John's mind, but it has not been explained either way. Pretty weird and wild implications.
Tell me your name or I won't be responsible for my actions.
Oh, but you will. You will be responsible. This is a fine spot. See you around, cowboy.
Birth of the conservation movement.
Shoot me, human! Shoot me! Oh, I will, you foul creature of the night.
The Undead Nightmare expansion may have added some silly scares, but nothing was quite as unbelievable as the Bigfoot mission. You get to talk to a Squatch, a talking Sasquatch, who despite only appearing in Undead Nightmare, claims he and his people have apparently been there the whole time. This does imply we could have run into Sasquatches during the opening moments of RDR2, but somehow we're spared that realization. Marston is tasked with eliminating the Bigfoots on a report that they eat babies, and as you do so, their numbers become less and less. The final one finally pleads with us that they are actually peaceful creatures who only eat berries, and that we as the player have basically doomed them all to extinction. Marston's dialogue is pretty hilarious as he tries to convince himself the baby-eating rumor was true.
You eat babies. You have to survive. Everyone knows that.
Wild mission. You get a definitive choice at the end on what to do. What did you choose? Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more Red Dead Redemption, and have a nice day.